Welcome back, focused learners. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. If you've been following along with our journey so far, we have covered a whole lot of ground in the cybersecurity landscape. But today is special because today is the day we finally stop just waiting around for the alarms to go off. Okay, let's dive into this. Day 47 is entirely focused on active cyber defense, and more specifically, the art and science of threat hunting. We're literally flipping the script on the adversaries here. We're taking the fight directly to them and adopting a highly proactive mindset.
So here is our game plan for today's explainer. First, Day 47, Threat Hunting. Second, the MITRE ATT&CK Framework. Third, Indicators of Compromise. Fourth, Tactics, Techniques, and Procedures. And lastly, number 5, the Threat Hunting Playbook.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Day 47, Threat Hunting.
I really don't want you to think of this as just another lesson. Honestly, think of this as your official initiation. Today, you're stepping into the thrilling role of a digital detective. You are the investigator walking under the yellow caution tape at a digital crime scene, actively looking for all those little things that the automated security systems just completely missed. Because the reality is, attackers often lurk inside networks for weeks, or sometimes even months, before being detected by passive systems. So what exactly do we mean by threat hunting? Well, threat hunting is your overarching profession and mindset moving forward. Traditional security is super passive, right? You set up a firewall or some antivirus software and you just sort of wait for it to catch something bad. Threat hunting is the exact opposite. It requires active searching. You operate on the assumption that the breach has already happened. You assume the bad guy is already hiding inside your network, and you proactively sweep your systems to find them before they can actually execute their ultimate goal. It requires curiosity, a lot of intuition, and an active, restless pursuit of anomalies.
Moving right along to Section 2, the MITRE ATT&CK Framework.
Now, a good detective can't just wander around aimlessly looking for bad guys, right? You need a system. Let's see how this builds our foundation. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what the MITRE ATT&CK framework represents. I want you to think of it as the conceptual map of the digital criminal underworld. When we hunt, we aren't just guessing what hackers might do. We consult the map. MITRE ATT&CK is this massive, globally accessible knowledge base of adversary tactics and techniques, all based on real-world observations. So for example, it doesn't just broadly say, oh, they hacked in. No, it specifies if they used phishing for initial access, or maybe a technique like pass the hash for lateral movement. It categorizes exactly how attackers operate, how they gain access, how they move across a network, and how they steal data. By consulting this really comprehensive map, you immediately understand the lay of the land. It tells you exactly where adversaries like to hide and the specific pathways they use to get there.
Which brings us to Section 3, Indicators of Compromise, or IOCs. So once we have our map, we need to know what a clue actually looks like out in the wild. We're shifting our focus right now from that broad, overarching map of the underworld down to the highly specific, tangible evidence left behind at our digital crime scene. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it grounds our investigation in reality. An IOC is basically a digital fingerprint. It's a highly specific clue left behind by an adversary. We're talking about things like a malicious IP address, a recognized virus signature like a specific malware hash, a suspicious URL, or maybe an irregular MD5 hash of a file. These are the exact, concrete clues we are actively hunting for within our network logs. If MITRE is the map of the city, the IOCs are the muddy footprints and the dropped matchbooks left behind in the alleyway.
Next up is Section 4. Tactics, Techniques, and Procedures.
But clues really only tell part of the story. Finding a fingerprint is great, but knowing what was left behind inevitably leads any good detective to ask how the adversary actually operates. TTPs take us way beyond those simple static clues. TTP stands for Tactics, Techniques, and Procedures, and this represents the adversary's modus operandi, their MO. We're looking at specific behavioral patterns here. Because, look, while an attacker can easily change an IP address or slightly alter a file to change its signature, meaning they can easily swap out their IOCs, it is incredibly difficult for them to change their fundamental behavior. It's kind of like asking a right-handed burglar to suddenly start picking locks with their left hand. It's just incredibly difficult for them to do. Their TTPs reveal their actual underlying strategies, how they establish persistence, how they dump credentials, and the specific tools they always favor. When you understand an adversary's TTPs, you know exactly how they think.
Let's look at this comparison directly, because grasping the difference here is what makes a threat hunter truly elite. On one side, we have our IOCs, the what, the clues.
They are super easy to spot if you know what you're looking for, but they have a really short shelf life because attackers just rotate them constantly. On the flip side, we have our TTPs, the how, the behaviors. Now, these are much harder to uncover, but they are absolutely devastating to the adversary once you figure them out. In a real-world investigation, identifying the specific clues, the IOCs, naturally points you toward understanding the broader behaviors, the TTPs. You absolutely need both of them working together to successfully track down and neutralize a threat.
And finally, Section 5, the Threat Hunting Playbook.
This brings us to the grand finale of Day 47. We've learned the theory, we've studied the map, and we know our clues and our behaviors. Now, we enter the project phase. This is where all of this incredible theory directly translates into focused action. So the crucial point is how these concepts sequentially stack on top of each other. Step 1. We understand the frameworks, using MITRE to map out the possibilities. Step 2. We identify the clues by seeking out those IOCs and TTPs in our environment. And step 3. We take all of that intelligence and we build the playbook. It's a highly logical, step-by-step escalation that inevitably leads directly to our capstone project for the day.
Creating this playbook is literally everything. The threat hunting playbook is the ultimate synthesis of Day 47. It essentially becomes your standard operating procedure as a digital detective. Learning about MITRE, IOCs, and TTPs is fantastic foundational knowledge for sure, but if it just sits in your head, well, it isn't actually protecting your network. It all culminates entirely in the creation of this practical, executable playbook. A playbook documents exactly what you are hunting for, the specific queries you're going to run against your logs, and the exact steps you will take when you finally find something malicious. It takes all the guesswork out of the hunt and makes your proactive defense repeatable and scalable.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We've laid out the entire ecosystem of active defense today. You now have the map of the criminal underworld. You know exactly how to identify the digital fingerprints and the behavioral clues left behind. And you understand that compiling all of this into a tangible, executable playbook is the ultimate goal. You've got the map, you've got the clues, and you've got the playbook. The only question left is, are you ready for the hunt? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep exploring, and I will see you in the next one.